In the day's other news, a sell-off hit Wall Street for the second straight day amid worries over trade and the economy. The Trump administration announced tariffs targeting $7.5 billion in goods from Europe. And a private survey found that U.S. hiring slowed in September. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost nearly 500 points to close at 26,078. The Nasdaq fell 123 points, and the S&P 500 gave up 52. Former Dallas police officer Amber Guyger was sentenced today to 10 years behind bars for the murder of a black neighbor a year ago. Guyger said she entered the wrong apartment and shot a man she thought was an intruder. She could have gotten life in prison, and a crowd outside the court booed when the sentence was announced. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders has called off campaigning for now after a heart procedure. The Vermont senator is 78. He had chest pains in Las Vegas on Tuesday, and doctors inserted 2 stents into a blocked artery. This afternoon, Sanders tweeted that he's feeling good, and he touted his push for Medicare for all. Russia's President Vladimir Putin today dismissed fears of his country meddling in U.S. elections, even making a joke of it. The Kremlin has denied U.S. findings that it interfered in the 2016 presidential election. At a forum in Moscow, Putin made light of the issue and pretended to confide that Russia has similar plans for 2020.
I'm telling you as a secret, yes, we will definitely do it in order to deliver you the best of fun. Just don't tell anyone. You know, we have plenty of our own problems. We are dealing with domestic problems, and this is our key priority. What is the point for us to meddle in some election in some other country?
Putin said he has a good relationship with President Trump. He also said he doesn't mind if his calls with Mr. Trump are made public. In Iraq, security forces killed at least 7 people and wounded dozens in new clashes with anti-government protesters. That made 9 killed in 2 days, with hundreds more wounded. Thousands had taken to the streets of Baghdad. Security forces used water cannon and tear gas to try to disperse the crowds and then began firing live rounds. The protesters are demanding jobs, better services, and an end to corruption. Hundreds of students and supporters in Hong Kong condemned police today for shooting a teenage protester. They held rallies and marches against police brutality and demanded accountability. The 18-year-old protester was shot on Tuesday as he struck an officer with a metal rod. Officials said today the wounded teen is in stable condition. North Korea may have fired an advanced nuclear-capable missile from underwater for the first time since starting nuclear talks with the U.S. It happened early today, and South Korea says the missile came from 10 miles off the North's coast and possibly from a submarine. It landed in Japanese waters, and in Tokyo, Japan's defense minister condemned North Korea's actions.
This missile launch, which appears to have fallen into Japan's exclusive economic zone, is a serious threat to Japan's security, and without any prior notice. Landing in such a zone was a dangerous act for aircraft and ships that is extremely problematic and violates the UN Security Council resolution.
The missile launch came 1 day after the North said that it will resume talks with the U.S. In Washington, the State Department said that Pyongyang should, quote, refrain from provocations. The British government today proposed a last-minute Brexit deal to the European Union as a Halloween deadline approaches. The new proposals focus on a key sticking point, keeping an open border between EU member Ireland and British-ruled Northern Ireland. Prime Minister Boris Johnson sounded a conciliatory note as he addressed a conference of his ruling Conservatives.
This is a compromise by the UK, and I hope very much that our friends understand that and compromise in their turn. The alternative is no deal. And that is not an outcome we want. It is not an outcome we seek at all. But let me tell you, my friends, it is an outcome for which we are ready.
EU officials said they welcome the new proposal. Johnson said he hopes to get a final agreement deal at an EU summit in mid-October. This day marked 1 year since Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi was murdered at the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. Activists and friends gathered near the site today to demand justice. They included the Post's owner, Jeff Bezos, and Khashoggi's Turkish fiancée. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said this week that he takes responsibility for the killing, but that he did not order it. Back in this country, President Trump denied that he ever talked of things like digging a moat to stop border crossings. The New York Times reported that last March, he suggested an electrified border wall, a moat with alligators, and even shooting migrants in the legs. Today, he said, quote, "I may be tough on border security, but not that tough." And opera star Placido Domingo resigned today as general director of the Los Angeles Opera amid accusations of sexual harassment. He had already left the Metropolitan Opera in New York. Domingo said today that he will focus on trying to clear his name. Still to come on the NewsHour, 2 Republicans on the battle for the party's soul. Democratic candidates make the case for what they would do to reduce gun violence. How China is electrifying the auto industry, and wheelchair tennis players blaze a trail for disabled athletes.